So I wanted to sort of digress a little bit and talk, spend one slide talking about agents. So a big part of federating infrastructure as part of Comet is being able to expose your infrastructure in a form that it can then be recognized by by Comet and then federated as needed into this infrastructure, and that requires writing an agent that runs the Comet stack, that allows it to join the overlay and exposes the resources appropriately so that the managers can discover it and learn about it and then integrate it as needed into the application execution platform, right? And so there is a prescription, a set of APIs for building such an agent. We have built agents for EC2, for future grid nodes, for the different supercomputing systems, for example, the IBM BlueJean system for clusters such as the TAC Lone Star cluster for OSG. So a bunch of platforms, we've already built these agents that allow them to be federated. But there is an API, and if time permits later this afternoon, we'll talk a little more about it. But it really provides an API for creating such interfaces, and in the material we will provide a sample interface so that will allow you to then build, based on that, build interfaces for your clouds, for your infrastructure. I also wanted to talk a little bit about federation and cloud bursting from an application perspective, and so this is going to go into the slide that I had, but really the idea of cloud bursting that we have is one that's driven by the policies. So while you can explicitly do that, a lot of it is defined by saying that I need to, when we expose this to the application, we try to expose it so that the application can say that I need to reduce my execution time, or application can say that I need to increase my resolution of sampling of the data, and these then get in some way translated into the type of and number of resources we need, right? And so a lot of the cloud bursting that we do is driven by the autonomics that we provide on CometCloud. In this case, and specifically in terms of master worker, we have to decide whether when we cloud burst, we want to know whether we want to go to secure or unsecured workers, and this would mean maybe going and getting another X number of clouds on Amazon, or maybe going to a private cloud that has the constraints that a secure worker needs, and including them into the federated infrastructure. And this is, a lot of this is driven through the estimation module here, which then understands what the application is doing and what the system is doing, and tries to predict how many nodes that we need. And we have got some experiments about how well it can do, and you know, what are effective metrics that we can base this estimation on. Similarly, we can use the same cloud bursting on MapReduce as well, and in this case we add agents to be able to increase the pool of mappers, for instance, and be able to add additional mappers as needed based on whatever the objectives are. Another thing would be also to increase the in-memory capability that one would need, and that would also could define the number of mappers one needs in this case. And similarly for the workflow, we have built specialized agents to be able to do that. And this is interesting because it also requires you to understand your upcoming workflow phase or stage, and understand what resource capabilities or types are required for that, and then provision them in anticipation of that. And so that that part of it is something that we've spent some time working on as well. How to provision additional resources and federate them into my infrastructure and then use them for subsequent workflow stages.